Here we go. Here we go. Dave Johnson with Bruce Murray. It's another edition of First 11. Yes, your connection with DC United and all things soccer. As always, you can connect with us at Dave J Sports or at Bruce Murray HOF. And tell your friends about First 11. It's available wherever you get your podcasts, including iHeart, Spotify. You know the deal. You get the podcast, and we appreciate the interaction. On First 11, and we'll do this in 11 minutes or less. Yes, it's an off week for DC United. I know you could say last week was an off week, the 2-0 loss to Real Salt Lake. We'll touch on DC United in a moment. Right now, a lot going on. Gold Cup, Club World Cup. I could barely say that. Club World Cup, let me say that again. The Gold Cup, the United States, so far so good in terms of results, Bruce Murray. It's hard to get excited about this team with the qualification that you understand this is not going to be the team that'll represent the country next year at the World Cup. Having said that, they need to get in gear.
Yeah, they didn't look good last night, and you know they didn't look sharp. And again, part of that is there's a lot of substitutions and there's different rules in this competition. But I'd like to see him put some guys together and just go with that group, and don't. There's just too many people, and when it's almost like line changes in hockey. It just kills the game, and I'm not impressed with what he's doing right now. I don't know what he's doing. Some of the younger players have shown me a little bit, but it's just not a team right now. And I'm not trying to go down the Landon Donovan route and bash the team and everything. I'm just saying this team, and he does say the right thing, that this team, particularly the way they're playing right now, they're not gonna be very successful unless they get in gear. And that's what you said. They got to get in gear.
And when I say get in gear, I also think between now and again, I'm like you. I think it's you don't push. The World Cup is what it's all about. It's, with all due respect to the Gold Cup or anything else, and especially with it being in our country, or in North America, obviously sharing with Canada and Mexico. But I think about the teams you played on, and there just seemed to be more personality or something. You could certainly argue successfully, look, we've got players playing all over the world now, which was not the case in 1990 and 94. And, back when you were with the U.S. national team, you guys often met at the airport. It almost was like you were freewheeling and freelancing, or maybe I'm overstating that. So I almost think we're overthinking soccer.
No, I agree with you. 100%. We actually we did meet at airports, and we had training camps all the time, and the travel was insane because players weren't playing on club teams in Europe. So you get coaches like Bob Gansler, Bora. We were in Japan one day, we were in Spain the next, and then you're looking at the Kremlin literally from your hotel room. I mean, it was such a crazy schedule, and we had to go places to get big games. What I see, Dave, and I've told a lot of people this, and some people agree, some don't, but I don't see a team. I watch Canada play, and I feel like I watch some of those players, and they are willing to drop for their country right on the field, and I just feel that we're just kind of playing safe right now because Pochettino, he's a new coach. If I don't make mistakes, well, hell, I'm in good shape. Well, that's not really how it works, man. You got to take risk in this game. If you want to be at the top, you have to take risk. And that is what I do not see out on the field right now.
And it's funny you mentioned, or interesting you mentioned Canada, because the way they responded against Honduras, it seemed like a team that remembered from previous matches was going to come with the conviction and no doubt about that result. It was over after the starting whistle, it seemed. Also, I think the Canadian dynamic, Jesse Marsh, even though he'll be going against his own country, the United States, I feel that's motivating him some.
I agree with you. Jesse Marsh got looked over on this job, and I personally thought he would have been a good pick because I saw a video couple of years back where Salzburg played, or I think it was Salzburg with the team he was with in Austria, and it was halftime against Liverpool, and they're getting spanked, and he went off on the team. I watched him go off, and he got those guys motivated. He talked about like they put their pants on just like you do, right? Go out there and stop showing so much respect. And I when I heard that speech, I said to myself, I could play for this guy. I could really play for Jesse Marsch.
Well, I tell you, I remember when he was still playing, I spent, believe it or not, a morning with him in a bar in Milwaukee watching English Premier League games. His brother had an Arsenal bar, probably still does, in Milwaukee. And at the time, he was talking with Peter Wilt, a great soccer executive. Even though he was playing, you could tell his passion was coaching, and he's certainly lived up to that passion. Club World Cup, you a fan? Mixed reviews? Do you know what to make of it?
I'm a fan in the sense that I like the fact that they do this now, and it kind of. But the way the teams that are involved, the way they pick the teams, Inter Miami, that was a very suspicious entry. I don't know. It's one of these things, Dave, where there's so many competitions going on right now. The attendance is terrible, and the ticket sales are poor. People in the Gold Cup, you watched the stadium last night, they're not going to pay three figures. They're going to pay over $100 for tickets. It's gotten to the point where U.S. Soccer, are they pricing themselves out of? I mean, I cannot believe what I saw last night. I mean, for a Gold Cup game, even though it was an invited guest, Saudi Arabia, I just couldn't believe that the stadium was half empty, and that's never been the case. When I played, we always played, man, and every national team was a big deal. If we were in Chicago playing Poland, there'd be 60,000 people. If we were in New York City, we were playing Italy, there'd be 82,000 people. I think this the pricing or whatever's going on in U.S. soccer, it's got to change. The economics of it don't work.
Well, and frankly, I don't think the market dictates things, and this is where this team needs to. It can't just show up and wear the U.S. colors. This team has not captured the attention of the now more discerning American soccer public, and I think that's reflected in the attendance. Now, in the Club World Cup, it should be noted, some of the attendances are great. It's where it's been poor is places. When they had a South Korean team and a South African team going against each other in Orlando. To me, that you put a South Korean team in a market like Los Angeles, you would probably do better because there's more of a Korean population. But I think that's just a reflection that the big clubs are like they do always attract the fans. The clubs people don't know about it's not to the point where you're going to show up just because they're in the Club World Cup. Let's get to DC United. I don't think in 11 minutes or less we can correct things. One thing, though, this team did need this break to reboot.
Yeah, 100%. Christian Benteke, no matter what we said about how we wanted to play this year, it's always going to go through Christian Benteke. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to go up in the air and he's going to be heading the ball all the time. Everything's going to go through Christian Benteke. We've been playing with Jacob Murrell up top. He's not getting the help necessary. He's playing out of position. We both know that, and all the fans that hear this know that. But I did a little math, and there's 45 points to play for, and 23, Dave, would have gotten us in the playoffs last year. So can we get 23 points out of 45? And that's going to take a real get revitalization of the squad, because that game against Salt Lake was a terrible game. I mean, we did not play well. There was no impetus to the game. There was no desperation in the way we played. And that's what we have to have right now, because, again, like I said, 23 points should see us through. And there's 45 to play for.
All right. The points are out there, but they have to play with purpose to get them. First 11, as always, we appreciate the time. We will be with you June 28th. That's our next match On iHeartRadio, you can sync with Apple TV. For now, in 11 minutes or less, we thank you for listening to First 11.